All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Congressman G.T. Thompson, Chair of the U.S. House Agriculture Committee. Welcome, everyone, to the very first official Farm Bill listening session for 2023. Really proud to have everybody here. Proud to be here. Thank you to our hosts. Thank you all the hardworking folks that put on this International Agriculture Exposition and their hospitality of welcoming us here to be able to do this. So thank you all for joining us. Before we get started, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and a prayer. The Pledge of Allegiance will be offered by Cambery Gonzalez, Oakdale 4-H Club Treasurer, and the prayer will be offered by Brian Kavanaugh, State FFA Treasurer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please adopt an attitude of reverence. Dear God, thank you for letting us be here today, for the opportunity to participate in free exchange of ideas, techniques, and experiences. And most importantly, let us be thankful for agriculture. Not just as a source of food and fiber for the world, but let us be thankful for agriculture as a way of life. Amen.
Amen. Thank you both very much. How about a big hand for our FFA organizations representative and our 4-H? Future of agriculture. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you all for joining us today. We're here on Valentine's Day, which shows you how much we love American agriculture.
That's pretty good.
And I'm thrilled to welcome you here once again to the first official Farm Bill listening session. I'm G.T. Thompson, Chairman of the House Committee on Agriculture, and I'm sure many of you know the current Farm Bill is set to expire this year, the end of September. And without a doubt, the most important part of the Farm Bill process is to hear from farmers, ranchers, foresters, producers, key stakeholders in rural America. A Farm Bill really is about those who produce, those who process, and those who consume. Well, that would be everybody in this country. And so we all know what's working in this process, so we know what's working, what's not, and where you need the most support. Serving those who serve on the Agriculture Committee, I think everyone is in a bipartisan way does that because we love what God has blessed us with. And today God has blessed us with 2 ears and 1 mouth, and that's why we're calling it a listening session, to be able to hear from you and bring your voice to the 2023 Farm Bill. There's a saying I learned, BC, that could either be before Congress or before children, that when it comes to public policy, if you're not at the table, you're probably on the menu. Now, you all are at the, and when I know you all want to be on the menu, but that's not what I'm talking about, okay? And so you are at the table. I'd like to thank my esteemed colleagues for joining me. I'm excited to have a bipartisan group of agriculture advocates here today. We're ready to trade in our dress shoes for our work boots. And first, it's a privilege to welcome and to be near his home here in the Valley, Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Mr. Speaker, thank you for being here, and thank you for being a gracious host today. Mr. Speaker?
Well, thank you all very much. Let's thank the chairman, G.T. Thompson. Came all the way from Pennsylvania. Yes, and he did do it on Valentine's Day, but Patty is here, so you take her to all the most wonderful places.
I get her a milkshake today.
Yeah, good milkshakes. Look, I have the honor to be able to represent in California, the #1 ag producer in the entire union, but I'm very proud of being able to represent Kern, Fresno, and Tulare, the top 3 in the entire state, so just so everybody knows. I think this is, you could applaud that, especially if you're from here. We take pride in that. I hope what you see here, I have the honor of being able to be Speaker in this House. It's not an easy job to win, as you saw, but we want to make sure we do the right things. We've got a Farm Bill up once every 5 years. There's a lot of different concerns when it comes, especially out here with specialty crops and others. Making the investment in R&D, making sure diseases don't come, MAP, and making sure we invest to broaden our ability to sell further places. Before you is not a bunch of Republican members from Congress. Before you is a bipartisan group of congressional members who are here to use their ears. It'll never get you in trouble by using your ears. And I hope you realize this is our very first in this new Congress where we have come to listen to you about how we go about not just the Farm Bill, but dealing with agriculture for the future. As I always love to say, agriculture takes the tradition of the past but applies it to a changing future. Just a few hours before, we watched people win the top 10 awards. Somebody from Israel. I mean, they're talking about drones. We realize competition makes it tougher, but we also realize if America's given a level playing field, we can compete anywhere and we can win. Our products are better, our opportunities are greater. But yeah, we care about our essentials. We need water to be able to make it happen. But at the same time, we need fair trade. We need the ability to be able to grow. We need to get in front of diseases as well. And so that's why this is today so important. And I want to thank each and every member, because some traveled from across the country, but some traveled from different parts of California because they care about agriculture. They want to know directly from you. And you're not going to learn any place better about agriculture than right here at the Ag Farm Show, right here in Tulare, the #1 in the world. We take great pride in that. And we appreciate you taking the time to participate as well. So it's not my place to talk, it's my place to listen. I'm going to turn it back over to GT, and I thank you for being a part of this and really showing your leadership. And this is the last thing I will tell you. When I was whip, a farm bill was the hardest bill to pass. And so I believe we're starting on the right take with GT as the chairman, but also in a bipartisan way, making sure all voices are heard. So thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Now, before we do a few other introductory remarks, I want to introduce our panel that's up here before us. First of all, big thanks to the host here in Tulare, David Valadeo, and we're proud to call him a friend and colleague. Also joined by a gentleman whose district is not too far from here. I actually think represent part of Tulare, from what I heard. There you go, 6 miles. Jim Costa, California 21. We have Doug LaMaffa, California 1. David Rouser, North Carolina 7. Salud Carbajal, California 24. Jimmy Panetta, California 19. John Rose, Tennessee 6. And John Duarte from California 13. Now, yeah, give him a big hand. So, on the Agriculture Committee, I don't usually refer to our members as members of Congress. I refer to them as the farm team, because doesn't matter what you do in agriculture, you're not going to be successful. You know, whatever you're growing for commodities or livestock or processing or an agribusiness, you're not going to do it with a strong farm team. And we've got a great farm team here in the 118th Congress. Like I've mentioned before, we're here to listen, and due to time constraints, I'd like to ask our participants to keep their remarks to about 2 to 3 minutes, so that we can hear from as many folks as possible. I assure you, written testimony you want to submit is unlimited, and there's lots of ways to do that. We have a QR code it is on the screen, and also if you just go to agriculture.house.gov and go under the policy section, there's a great way to be able to use a website to be able to submit there. We want to hear from each and every one of you. Wish we had time to hear individually from each of you, but that's just not possible. So but there are ways for everybody to contribute to this process. I'm the bad guy, I guess, whenever you, how much time is remaining with this? 1 minute left on this, and then I'm a traditional football player, not a soccer player, but I will throw a red card. Okay, and I just ask that you wrap up whatever thoughts you're on when we do that. Be sure to grab a comment card from our staff, another way that you can submit your input. That said, if we're unable to get to you in a speaker queue today, I encourage you to please submit your Farm Bill feedback by scanning the QR code on the screen, or go to agriculture.house.gov, drop box in the policy box, and you'll be able to find that. And with that, I'm pleased to yield to the man that represents this great facility and great area, Congressman David Valadeo, for opening remarks.
Thank you. Thank you. I first want to thank the chairman, Chairman Thompson, for coming out here. I had the honor of going out to Pennsylvania with him last year, and absolutely beautiful part of the country. Got to spend some time on a dairy farm out there. But it's an amazing process that we're having here, that we're actually going around the country talking to different folks, learning about the different agriculture commodities growing around the country, and trying to address as many of the issues we possibly can. I also want to thank Speaker McCarthy. I've spent a lot of time working alongside McCarthy because our district has bordered for years, and I've been proud to bring speakers to the Valley to teach them about agriculture. I mean, from Paul Ryan to John Boehner, but now I don't have to teach McCarthy anything. We just got to fight in the same direction and continue to work hard together. So I'm thrilled that he's here and took the time for this. I think this is the first time we've had a speaker at one of these types of events, so we're super excited about that. My colleagues here from all across the country, a lot of these guys I consider good friends of mine, known them for years, great people, and the fact that they took the time to travel either across the country or across the state to be here really does mean a lot to myself, and I believe the majority of, or at least everyone here in the audience, so thank you for that. California grows a lot of commodities. This is the breadbasket of the country, as we like to say, and we're very proud of what we do here, and so the opportunity to hear from all of you means a lot to us. So thank you to all of you who have taken the time to be here, and at this point I'll shut up and we'll move on to the next person. So thank you very much.
David, thank you very much. Before we jump into hearing from you all, I'd like to look forward to giving a gentleman I've had the privilege of serving my entire time that I've been on the Agriculture Committee, Mr. Jim Costa, senior member of our committee, and an opportunity to say a few words as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Speaker. It is great to have the House Agriculture Committee here in Tulare. David and Kevin and I kind of share Tulare County now with the new reapportionment, and it's birthplace of my father, Ocean Goshen, not too far from here in Kings County. But this is important because the Farm Bill, we reauthorize every 5 years. This is my fourth Farm Bill reauthorization. And as a third-generation farmer, I can tell you that it's absolutely essential that we are here today to listen to all of the farmers, ranchers, dairymen, and women who really make up this great valley of ours and the #1 agricultural state in the nation. Chairman Thompson, you got 5 Californians here, and we're very proud of our diversity in our agriculture economy. But I always say that food security is national security. In other words, food for all Americans is a national security issue. The majority of Americans don't tend to kind of look at it that way because they go to the grocery store, they go to their favorite restaurant, and they say, well, we got all the food we need. They don't understand the hard work it takes for farmers, ranchers, dairymen and women, and farm workers to put that food on America's dinner table every night. But it's also America's safety net. Not only the safety net in terms of the 12 titles that really provides the basis and the protection, so we ensure that we can compete abroad. 44% of California's agriculture is exported, but it's also the safety net for nutrition. And the nutrition programs are critical for school lunch and breakfast programs, for working poor, young and elderly alike. And so it's important that we remember that as we look at healthy nutrition. Kids can learn when they have a good lunch or a good breakfast, and that's important. So let me finally say that having the House Ag Committee here, Mr. Chairman, is important because we're so proud of the 4% plus of America's population that puts food on America's dinner table every night. But American agriculture is regional, and every region's a bit different. And the region here in California and the input we're going to hear from our folks that will make comments today are so important as we work on the 12 titles of the Farm Bill. We deal with the specialty crops that are so important, the MAP program, the EQIP program, all of these things that help us make us more competitive, not only throughout the country but throughout the world. So thank you, and thank you very much for bringing the House Ag Committee here to Tulare, California, and we're going to hear some good thoughts, I think, for the people here today.
All right, thank you, Ms. Costa. Appreciate that. What I do before we get started here, we're going to do that momentarily. I want to ask you all to join me in giving a thanks to a former colleague who did such a great job, short period of time, but also was really instrumental in helping us pull this together here. How about a big hand for the Honorable Congresswoman Connie Conway? And with that, let's get started. Go ahead, Aaron, announce.
Great. Everyone hear me?
No, I don't think that mic's not working. This might be now. Try now. Yeah.
Great. All right, I will call folks' names up, and we're going to have two microphones, so just line up on either one. So first up is going to be Jamie Johansson with the California Farm Bureau, President of the California Farm Bureau. And then next up will be Tony Lowe with the Dairy Farmers of America.
I don't know that mic works very well.
Turn them on.
Why don't we grab you one of these? Here, why don't we give you this one? We'll just give you this one. We don't want to hear from Dave.
Well, thank you, Speaker McCarthy, for being here, and Chairman Thompson, the distinguished members of the Agricultural Committee, and the Appropriations Committee, too, for Congressman Valadeo. Thank you for your service here. Thank you for hosting a Farm Bill listening session in California, the top producing ag state in the country. My name is Jamie Johansson, and I serve as president of the California Farm Bureau Federation, our state's largest farm organization, representing over 20,000 members producing 400 commodities. I'm also a first-generation farmer, growing olives and citrus fruit in Butte County. American agriculture has faced significant challenges since the passage of the 2018 Farm Bill. Global pandemic, labor shortages, wildfires, and other natural disasters, rising input costs, inflation, trade disputes, and supply chain dysfunction at our ports and overseas. For the farmer, those challenges have resulted in economic disruption, tighter margins, and even permanently closed farms. While some of these have been addressed in meaningful ways, we know there's still much that can be done to help ensure that our family farmers and ranchers have the tools necessary to provide safe, nutritious, and affordable food for U.S. consumers, as well as nations abroad. To do that, we believe this Farm Bill should focus on a number of key points. I will highlight a few of those today. First, this Farm Bill should prioritize development of new crop insurance tools for uncovered producers, as well as improvements to existing tools. In a practical, affordable way, regardless of commodity and farm size. In California, less than a quarter of our 400 commodities are covered by existing crop insurance programs. In order to recover from significant losses, our producers have often had to rely on significantly delayed ad hoc federal funding. In the case of emergency relief program, many producers in California have waited nearly 3 years to see any form of support. It should go without saying that many family businesses simply cannot afford to wait so long. Second, we urge the committee to consider a robust forestry title in the upcoming Farm Bill. The U.S. Forest Service recently announced that there are over 38 million dead trees in California alone. To keep our forests healthy and mitigate wildfire risk to communities and natural resources, the Farm Bill should seek to address forest health challenges on federal, state, and non-federal lands. Third, relative to the conservation programs and producer assistance programs, we urge the committee to be mindful of program delivery capacity. Over recent months, staffing challenges have made it difficult at times for our members to access timely help. In addition to financial assistance, it is essential that USDA adequate technical assistance resources to both advise and serve producers. Lastly, California Farm Bureau recognizes the significant role of the nutrition title in any Farm Bill, as it helps to ensure families, communities have access to fresh, healthy foods. As with so many other federal programs, we believe that connecting state and local organizations together with their community farmers and ranchers is an invaluable resource to ensuring such goals are met. In closing, I want to thank you, Chairman and Speaker, for taking the committee on the road to hear from California producers firsthand what they need in the 2023 Farm Bill. Thank you for your time.
Jamie, thank you so much. Aaron, you want to introduce our next speaker?
All right, Tony, you're up next.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me? Is that working? So, good morning. My name is Tony Lopes. I'm a fourth-generation dairy farmer from the California 13th District in Gustine, California. My family are member owners of both California Dairies Incorporated as well as Dairy Farmers of America. First and foremost, on behalf of the California ag industry, I just want to share how excited we are to have such strong representation of our industry in Washington, D.C. And we're very confident that you'll be able to drive key legislative successes for us back home here, and we look forward to that. Across the California dairy industry, we largely view the 2018 Farm Bill as a legislative victory. It provided the much-needed safety net programs, the dairy margin coverage, as well as the dairy revenue protection that has worked well for us through these unprecedented times through the pandemic and supply chain constraints. However, due to inflationary pressures, constraints related to how much milk volume can be enrolled within these programs, as well as regionally different cost structures in calculating the milk to feed margin within the DMC, $9.50 is not the same as it was years ago, and it's different in every region and every shape and size of operator. And we just ask, to echo Speaker McCarthy's words, the opportunity to produce dairy on a level playing field with other regions across the country. Additionally, when we look at the dairy revenue protection program, we ask that our industry be afforded the same opportunity as our friends in the livestock sector to protect at 100% price coverage level, similar to that of the livestock risk protection program. And lastly, throughout this entire process, recognizing the large component of the Farm Bill that is nutrition assistance, we just ask that you continue to prioritize U.S. dairy and beef production throughout that program. So with that, I'd like to thank you guys for the opportunity to speak, and look forward to hearing the rest of the industry address you guys. Thank you.
All right, Tony, thank you very much.
Great. Up next, we have California State Assemblyman Ben Spong, followed by Aubrey Betancourt, Almond Alliance CEO and President.
Good morning. Is this working? Yeah. I want to thank Speaker McCarthy for putting this together. Thank you, Chair Thompson, and the members of the Ag Committee for actually coming to Tulare, coming to Central Valley to hear our concerns. Certainly, I'd be remiss with this audience here to mention that we need water and that we need to address those concerns and fixing our water policy, as well as making investments in our supply chain infrastructure. Those are two areas I think our farmers are certainly persevering through a very difficult environment. As you know, you are in the food production capital of California, and I'm proud to represent Kern and Tulare counties in terms of what we need in terms of agriculture as well in the Farm Bill. Certainly, I would be very brief and say that we probably need more investments in market access programs. We need more research and development to combat pests and diseases. We need to invest in programs like SNAP that our food banks rely on, as well as increase investment in the crop insurance programs that our farmers rely on. So those are the core areas I believe that the Farm Bill should address, and I thank you for the opportunity.
I thank you, Mr. Assemblyman. And now, Aubrey, it's all yours.
Sorry, I'm vertically challenged. Good morning, Speaker McCarthy, Chairman Thompson, Congressman Valadeo, Congressman Costa, Congressman Duarte, and all members of the House Committee here today. On behalf of the Almond Alliance, the only trade association representing American almonds and 80% of the world's supply of almonds, I address you today on a number of issues facing our industry, but more importantly, the opportunities in the Farm Bill that they present. As many of you know, we represent 7,600 almond farms, 90% of which are family-owned and operated. 75% are less than 100 acres. Right here in California, 100% of the U.S. supply is coming from here, and the world's supply, that 80% that's shipped. In the past decade, there have been increase in exponential demand for our product. We're on 11 of 14 grocery aisles across the world. It's become an incredible and valuable export product and commodity for the United States, and especially for California. And so as with those great opportunities come great challenges, and we have a few options in the Farm Bill that we see opportunity in. One area that I'd like to address is, in addition to so much of what you've heard already, is adjusted gross income and payment limitations. Specialty crop producers face unique challenges with the application of AGI limitations compared to Title I commodity crops. And most Farm Bill programs, current implementation of AGI limitations disproportionately prohibit specialty crop producers from participating in certain USDA programs in a meaningful way, as well as potentially inhibit disaster program participation. Although a means test may be appropriate for participation in USDA programs, AGI is an ill-suited means test for specialty crop producers. All right, rock on. So with that, this has become the most expensive year in farming. The reality of it is the cost of doing business across farming all across the United States has gone up. We need our programs to proportionately allow for access for our farmers, especially our family-owned and operated. Conservation Reserve Program, along with the conservation chapter. EQIP is vital in the irrigated West, and it's become an incredibly important program for us in order to adapt and resolve and stay farming. CRP needs modification for Western access. There are programs in the state that are there to match. Farmers are now being allowed to lean in. The goal is to keep our farmers farming. Climate change and groundwater sustainability does not mean permanent retirement of ag land. It means we need tools to be part of the solution. Trade and market access hasn't been updated since 2006. We're a global commodity. We want to stay #1 in the world. Let us go out there and do that. We'd love to see that increased. And finally, research and development, SCRI, AFRI. We need those tools available to us for plant health and continued growth and development. And finally, the 8E bonus program. This is one of those small nuanced programs, but it allows for access for us to go out and promote our product around the world. We would love to see that opened up to allow for more access for our small farmers. So thank you again. Obviously more to come. And if you ever need anything, you know where to find us. Thank you.
Aubrey, thank you so much.
Great. Next up, we have Linda Hoomston with the University of California, followed by Ian LeMay with the California Fresh Fruit Association, and then on deck, Jacob DeBoer with American Ag Credit.
Aubrey does a good job.
Thank you. Great to be here today. Much of what I would have said has already been said, so I won't repeat that. But I do think it's important to really thank you all for being here and for your past support of our agricultural research programs. Many of the issues you're hearing today, we would not find solutions to if we didn't have the kind of bipartisan investment in agricultural research. Having said that, there are a few programs we would love to see some improvement in. For California, getting rid of the match requirement for our specialty crop research initiative is critically important, particularly working with some of these smaller farms and ranches and specialty crops. We also really need Congress to consider some investment in agricultural research facilities. We've had studies the past decade that have shown over $11 billion in deferred maintenance. This puts the U.S. at a huge disadvantage as we conduct research to find solutions that we're dealing with. And here in California, that's critically important. We receive, on average, a new pest in this state every 5 weeks. It's really frightening, trying to stay ahead of that, find solutions, develop the many, many, many bits of research that are needed to do that. The other thing that we're also trying to invest in is new technologies that can work for a variety of farmers, from very small to very large. Because of the nature of our crops here, we don't have a one-size-fits-all that'll work. We've really got to find these solutions that can be size neutral and really facilitate our small farmers. Additionally, the last 2 points, and I know this is one of Congressman Costa's favorite points, is the definition of rural, which affects not only California, but frankly, many states in the Union. We live with a very outdated definition of rural. In fact, the county you're sitting in right now is considered a metropolitan county, which I think most of us would consider quite ludicrous. In fact, the entire Central Valley is considered metropolitan. And this has got to be looked at because it affects how resources are allocated towards our agricultural producers and programs. And then last but not least is, again, with specialty crops here and in other states, many of our small farmers and frankly our young farmers and ranchers are trying to start businesses through leasing land. Too many Farm Bill programs discriminate against leased land versus ownership when trying to access programs. So any help you can give with any of these would be greatly appreciated. And thank you for your time here.
No, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, and all of our distinguished guests. My name is Ian LeMay, and I serve as the president of the California Fresh Fruit Association. We represent growers and shippers of 13 permanent fresh fruit commodities throughout the state of California. That's peaches, plums, nectarines, apricots, table grapes, apples, pears, persimmons, pomegranates, blueberries, cherries, figs, and kiwi. And I also like to point out that we're lucky enough to actually have Congressman Duarte as a member as well through his nurseries, so always good to see him. I want to echo all of my colleagues' comments already. I think all of us are viewing this Farm Bill as a great opportunity for Congress to not only fortify an industry that needs assistance, but also help us position ourselves to propel ourselves into the next 100 years of U.S. ag economy. And so I think the challenge before you, and we are here to support you, is how do we not just hold the line? How do we not take a step backwards, but how do we think outside of the box and try to really give the tools to individuals who, if you give them the tools, you know that they can really answer the call. And so with that, beyond representing the California Fresh Fruit Association, my organization serves as a member of the Specialty Crop Farm Bill Alliance. I will be giving your staff today our 120 recommendations that we have, and I know all of your staffs have already received it. But within those recommendations, I'd like to call really kind of 5 areas of priority. One, as you've already heard, a plus-up of MAP. MAP has been funded at $200 million for over a decade. We would like to see it at least go to $400 million, if not more. It is an overprescribed program. Many of the commodity sectors here have demonstrated the value and our ability to maximize that investment in those foreign markets. And as we know, especially as California growers, what we grow here in California, the people of the world want. And so if we're able to develop and hold those markets, we are not only exporting our goods, we're exporting American values across the globe as well, and that's something I think we all want to do. You'll hear more about crop insurance. That is an extremely valuable tool for the specialty crop industry. We would like to see that fortified and expanded. A little bit in lieu of that, a permanent disaster relief. We continue to see with the changing climate, our commodity sectors, especially in the perishable commodity regions and sectors that I represent, new threats, whether that be smoke exposure from significant fires in the Sierras to other pest and disease issues. We need a permanent program that we can rely on versus piecemeal programs as those issues come up. 2 new ideas we would like you to consider. One in the area of research and mechanization. Congress has continued to make meaningful investments in research, but our industry finds ourselves at a time in which we need to incentivize that result of research into actually being able to buy that new mechanization automation machinery. We think a cash share program would be worthwhile there. And then we shared with the chairman yesterday, but currently USDA does not have the authority for a domestic promotion of U.S. goods. One, we would like for USDA to be given that authority to promote within the United States our goods, and then hopefully create a MAP-like program that organizations can go use a cash match so that we can promote our goods, fresh fruits, to the people of the United States and help increase consumption of good, healthy products. Again, thank you. It's refreshing to see a bipartisan panel here and demonstrates the power of agriculture. So thank you all for being here.
Ian, thank you very much.
Chairman, Speaker, members of Congress, thanks for your time today. My name is Jacob DeBoer, and I'm a 4th generation almond, walnut, beef, and rice. Might not need to get closer. Can you hear me? I'm going to hand it. I'm going to try this. All right, we'll try it again. My name is Jacob DeBoer, and I'm a 4th generation almond, walnut, rice, and beef rancher up in Northern California in Stanislaus County. I'm both literally and figuratively wearing my farm credit hat today, so that's with which I address you. We've submitted written remarks, but I'd like to briefly highlight a few key points.
American Ag Credit, as you may know, is part of the nationwide farm credit system. We serve 11,000 customers across California, Kansas, Oklahoma, Colorado, New Mexico. It's a pretty broad swath. We lend to farmers and ranchers in pretty much every sector that you could farm in this great United States. Our loan volume exceeds $18 billion. So equally important to the mission is our broad support for the communities we serve. During 2022, through our local community impact partners, we supported over $1.4 million to community gardens, shelters, and other causes. It has provided us opportunities to bolster these emerging sectors in providing new entry to agriculture. As an example, we are proud to partner with organizations like the Center for Land-Based Learning. Chairperson Thompson, I believe you had the opportunity to tour this facility up in West Sacramento a couple years ago. As we look towards the next Farm Bill, we want to highlight 3 areas of importance for our customers and the association. The first is crop insurance, the second is conservation, and the third are loan limits for FSA guaranteed loans. We all know, and has been said previously, that crop insurance remains agriculture's best risk management tool. It is imperative that Congress protects a strong and effective federal crop insurance program. Conservation and climate will undoubtedly be part of Farm Bill discussions, and Farm Credit believes agriculture is part of the solution to mitigating impacts of climate change, as we all do. As you look at the intersection of agriculture and the environment, our ask is that any program provide for voluntary incentive-based tools for farmers and forest owners, promote private sector solutions, and third, not require any decision on agriculture lending be based on farmers adopting certain conservation practices. So voluntary and incentive-based, please. Like many farm credit associations, we work with FSA on guaranteed loans, and as you probably know, those loan limits are actually limited at $2 million. When land values are approaching $50,000, that does not allow us a great partnership for significant amounts for those entering farmers and ranching from a young age. So we ask that we take a look at raising that limit. In closing, we believe that innovation and technology will be a key driver through not only these 3 issues, but through the entire discussion of farm policy. On behalf of American Ag Credit's Board of Directors, our customer owners, and members and staff, we want to thank you for this opportunity, and we stand ready to support you as you navigate this Farm Bill. Thank you.
Jason, thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Up next, we have Derek Swindle with Ducks Unlimited, followed by Natalie Caples with the Central California Food Bank.
Good morning, Chairman Thompson, Speaker McCarthy, and the rest of the committee. I first want to thank you for your leadership in passing the Sustains Act and the fiscal year 2023 Omnibus Spending Bill, and for organizing today's listening session. My name is Derek Swindle. I'm from Laguna Niguel, California, and I'm the Senior Regional Director for Ducks Unlimited for the southern half of the state of California. DU is the largest wetlands conservation organization in the world with over 1 million members, and I represent 23,300 dedicated members across our great state. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of Ducks Unlimited today. We're proud of our long history of partnering with farmers and ranchers to deliver conservation, and we look forward to continuing our work with you to sustain our natural resources and our rural communities. The conservation programs included in the Farm Bill are a key part of the safety net used by farmers and ranchers to maximize on-farm efficiency and productivity and to maintain soil health, water quality, and wildlife habitat on their lands. Conservation is in high demand across the country, and specifically with regards to water quality and quantity needs. We and our partners respectfully ask that you and your colleagues strengthen support for the most efficient and important voluntary and incentive-based conservation programs in the Farm Bill. These include things such as strong wetland grassland protections continued in the 2023 Farm Bill. We support strong funding for important working lands programs like the Regional Conservation Partnership Program, or RCPP, Environmental Quality Incentive Program, the EQIP, and the Conservation Stewardship Program, the CSP. Also, a robust agricultural conservation easement program. This is a nationally popular program where demands far exceed the funding available. Lastly, an improved Conservation Reserve Program, CRP, through expanded locally led efforts that improve wildlife habitat. DU looks forward to working with you, Chairman Thompson, Speaker McCarthy, and the other members of the committee in writing a 2023 Farm Bill that will sustain our natural resources for the future. Thank you very much for your leadership.
Eric, thank you so much.
Good morning, committee members. My name is Natalie Caples, and I'm the co-CEO of Central California Food Bank, located in Fresno, and we serve Fresno, Madera, Kings, Tulare, and Kern counties, where 1 in 4 adults, and 1 in 3 children are food insecure. So I'm here to talk about Title IX, the nutrition title, today. Over the last few years, there was unprecedented federal response to swiftly meet the need of neighbors who required emergency food support, some for the first time ever. That response included investments in vital nutrition programs like TFAP and SNAP. Because of those investments and the program flexibilities provided, food insecure neighbors were able to meet their unique household needs during volatile and uncertain times. At the food bank, we're working diligently to meet the need that's persisted since the pandemic, but inflation, and more specifically, the rising cost of food, has resulted in more and more neighbors again turning to the food bank for support. And with the end of the public health emergency this month, families and individuals will face a decrease in SNAP benefits averaging $82 per person per month. Robust and comprehensive investments in SNAP and TFAP in the Farm Bill are more important than ever. Food banks across the nation, we know that this looming hunger cliff is coming, so we're planning, we're preparing, but even with the planning, the additional investments that we've made to acquire food, there isn't any way that we can make up the gap in SNAP benefits on our own. Last year, SNAP supported 4.4 million Californians, that's nearly 1 in 9, and SNAP provides 9 meals for every 1 meal provided by the Charitable Food Network. We cannot close that gap if SNAP benefits or eligibility were reduced in this coming Farm Bill. Additionally, a reliable and continuous stream of TFAP foods is essential, particularly now as the demand for food across Central California and the nation remains high. Access to affordable food is definitely more difficult for our neighbors now than it was before, and we need your help to meet the need of food assistance over the long term, and specifically, we need more TFAP, and we need to strengthen SNAP. It's imperative that the new Farm Bill should increase TFAP mandatory funding by at least $250 million per year and TFAP storage and distribution funds to $200 million per year. And these increases reflect the actual distribution costs of moving food to families and individuals in needs, particularly in rural areas like what we have here in Central California. I also urge you to strengthen SNAP. It is the nation's first line of defense against hunger, providing food benefits that are timely, targeted, and most importantly, they're temporary. And it's our state's most effective anti-hunger program. SNAP also supports the health of our low-income communities while also creating jobs and benefiting our state's food economy, as evidenced by the $20 billion in total economic activity and 272,000 jobs statewide, as every $1 in benefits generates as much as $1.80 in economic activity. If we ever hope to eliminate food insecurity in our nation, SNAP and TFAP are the vehicles in the Farm Bill that will help us accomplish that goal. Committee, thank you so much for your time.
Natalie, thank you so much. And please take back thank you to you and your colleagues for what you do to serve our neighbors in need, which is a great rural value, actually.
Great. Next up is Rachel Molatore with the International Fresh Produce Association, followed by Jim Parsons with Parsons & Son Farming.
Jim's here somewhere.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Good morning. Hi. Maybe I should take this down. My name's Rachel Molatore. I'm with Taylor Farms, but as she said, I'm also representing the IFPA, the International Fresh Produce Association, and the Specialty Crop Farm Bill Alliance. Taylor Farms is the largest grower and processor of leafy greens and fresh cut vegetables. We operate strategically across North America, 23 different processing locations. We're in the US, Mexico, and Canada. Taylor Farms is now at 24,000 team members, and 8,000 are right here in California. We're providing convenient, fresh, flavorful meals that me and my family eat often, multiple times a week. We get an overwhelming amount of responses, either written in or calling in, of people just saying, thank you. Thank you for the ability that I can prepare a healthy meal for my family. So we're distributing to food service, to restaurants, to schools, to convenience stores, and makers of 1 in 3 salads. So we're proud members, like I said, of IFPA and the Specialty Crop Alliance. Today I'm not here, just to speak on behalf of Taylor Farms, but everybody in this room is on a mission to create healthy lives. We're on a mission to increase consumption of healthy, fresh foods. And I know you've heard the stats, but and Speaker Kevin McCarthy and Representative Jim Costa, you already said it, the importance that healthcare costs now consume 1 in 3 federal budget dollars. 1 in 2 Americans have diabetes or pre-diabetes. We don't eat the recommended amounts of fruits and vegetables daily. 8 out of 10 healthcare dollars are spent on preventable diseases that our industry can change. Thank you for supporting the America's specialty crop industry and everybody in this room. There's various things that I want to cover, but nutrition is the one that, expanding the fresh fruits and vegetable program to all elementary schools, building a standalone fruit and vegetable benefit program for all SNAP participants, increasing purchases for food banks, thank you, Natalie, and even considering increasing marketing dollars to communicate the message of the joy of eating fresh. IFPA, like Ian LeMay said, will be following up along with the Specialty Crop Farm Bill Alliance and reaching out with all these recommendations. And I also just want to say, we welcome you, we invite you, please come tour our farms, our facilities, and let us show you how we're providing 160 million servings of fresh vegetables weekly. Thank you.
Rachel, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good morning, Chairman Thompson, Speaker McCarthy, Congressman Valadeo, members of the committee, members of Congress. I'm Jim Parsons. I farm approximately 30 miles southeast of here. I have citrus and dryland wheat. I've been told I can make comments about other things on the Farm Bill, and that's going to be water. Water, water, water. I think David and Congressman Costa both have districts that have been shut off from water. My citrus grove can only be watered from the Frank Kern Canal. They are repairing it, and I'm glad to see that. That's very important to me, since that's my only source of water. Farm Bill, crop insurance. Both of my crops I can get crop insurance for, and I use it. I've had crop insurance on my wheat since probably the early 90s. That I know of. In the past, it was never that lucrative to have it. It just didn't pay. It started paying, and it's done a good job. I'm pleased with it, except for one thing. About, probably 50% of my crop is in Congressman McCarthy's district, and I cannot get crop insurance for it. I had it till about 5 years ago. I'm going to talk to RMA. I hope they're here today. But I'd like to get crop insurance back on that parcel. Research. That's another industry that's important to me. I appreciate what goes on there. At times, I have sold my seed completely and got another variety. Sometimes I'll get a variety and I'll clean the seed and replant it for maybe 3 years and then go buy it again. But one year I bought the variety. The research made a difference in it, so I sold it all and bought another variety that was resistant to a certain disease that I was having problems with at that time. So I find research important. The other thing is the trade. 50% of the wheat crop in California is exported. So we need FMD and the MAP programs to be continued. I'd like to see the amounts given to them doubled, and I'd like to see that amount given each year. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm colorblind.
You're fine. Jim, you did great. Much appreciated. Good job. Well, you know, everyone's after you is going to use that same excuse now.
Great, thank you. Up next, if we can get Jason Ganelli with the Old River Farming Company, followed by Elisa Hoopy with the California Citrus Mutual.
Jason, are you here?
All right, let's go ahead to Alyssa.
Go with Elise.
All right.
Go ahead, Elise.
Good morning, Chair Thompson, members of the committee. My name is Alyssa Halpy. I'm with California Citrus Mutual. Welcome to Tulare County. Tulare County is the #1 fresh citrus producing county in California. In fact, the Central Valley is the #1 fresh citrus producing region in the entire country. Over 80% of the U.S. citrus production is right here. And 70% of our total production stays within the United States of America. We only export about 30% of our total crop. But unfortunately, California's citrus industry is under attack by a devastating plant disease called Huanglong or HLB. This disease has ravaged the Florida citrus industry, and it threatens to do the same here in California if we don't find a cure. And that cure can only be found through dedicated research. And in the 2018 Farm Bill, we created the Citrus Trust Fund, the first of its kind, and a dedicated appropriation to the U.S. citrus industry to help find a cure for HLB. That's currently funded at $25 million per year. And together with our colleagues in Florida and Texas, the #2 and #3 citrus producing states, we ask Congress to continue the Citrus Trust Fund and continue funding it at that $25 million per year amount. In addition, we've created some new language that will help ensure that the priorities of the citrus industry are actually funded within the projects, and to create more accountability at USDA as those projects are awarded, and give the industry a greater say in the projects that are funded, and to ensure that they do in fact address Huanglong and find a cure for this disease that threatens our entire industry. I also want to say that we are a member of the Specialty Crop Farm Bill Alliance, and we wholeheartedly support the recommendations that have been brought forward by the Alliance. That yields my time. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Great. Up next is Jody DeVores with the California Table Grape Commission, followed by Lynn McBride with the California Dairy Campaign and California Farmers Union, followed by Mike Himman with NetaFirm. So up next, Jody.
Good morning, Chairman Thompson, Speaker McCarthy, and all of our members that are here today. My name is Jody DeVores with the California Table Grape Commission. Today, my remarks will focus on a few key priorities, but please be assured there are many other Farm Bill programs that the Commission values and supports. At a high point, the table grape industry exported 42% of its crop. However, in 2022, that percentage was just under 30%, similar to that of the prior 2 seasons. The challenges are many, but there is a proven tool available that helps. A doubling for the market access program is critical to providing opportunity for U.S. growers to compete on a global level. An influx of lower-priced imported fruit into the U.S. compounds the challenges faced by growers of all operational size. Our request is that the Farm Bill grant USDA authority to develop and field a generic domestic promotion program to help specialty crop growers increase consumption of their products domestically. In addition, regulatory and legislative solutions are needed to enhance the competitiveness for producers of seasonable and perishable produce. It is vital for producers to adopt new forms of technology, including mechanization and advanced automation, to offset the challenges of labor. Unfortunately, adoption is slow because investment costs are high. Development of a reimbursed-based cost-share program within AMS to help with specialty crop producers invest in these tools would greatly benefit both growers and workers. Based on the table grapes industry over the past 3 years, USDA's procurement programs, including Section 32, would benefit from having solicitations move away from lowest cost bidding, as well as accepting food safety certification beyond USDA GAP. Expanding the use of Section 32 to include all 3 original points of intent would allow creation for new opportunities. Lastly, dedicated fruit and vegetable benefits and promotion for SNAP would support the consumption and access of fresh, healthy produce for underserved communities. The Commission appreciates the opportunity to share these priorities, and we stand ready to help shepherd these concepts into real solutions for growers. Thank you.
Jody, thank you so much.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, Representative Valadeo, Representative Costa. Thank you so much, and all members of the panel. Thank you so much for the opportunity to testify here today during this Farm Bill listening session. My name is Lynn McBride. I serve as the Executive Director of the California Dairy Campaign, which is a member organization of the California Farmers Union, which is a state chapter of the National Farmers Union, which represents 200,000 farmers and ranchers throughout the United States. And so we're working in coalition across the country to prioritize for the next Farm Bill. And one of the top priorities moving forward is to establish a dedicated competition title. All farmers face the same challenge, which is they buy from a consolidated, concentrated market all their farm inputs, and they sell into that same concentrated, consolidated market. So we see a dedicated competition title in the next Farm Bill as being integral to ensuring that farmers of all commodities have a fair price for their products. So we support local and regional food systems that increase competition and resilience. We're calling for the reinstatement of country of origin labeling of meat. We're calling for strengthening of the Packers and Stockyards Act, as well as cattle market price discovery. We think those are critical on the livestock side to, again, ensure that farmers have a fair price in the product for their products. On the dairy side, for more than 4 years, we've joined with dairy farmers from around the country, including those from Pennsylvania, Mr. Chairman, to call for a nationwide dairy growth management plan so that we can manage our national milk supply to be more responsive to profitable market demand. There was a well-known study that was conducted by the University of Wisconsin and Cornell that showed that a system of managed growth, and again, this would be incentive-based production growth, would have a positive impact on the dairy economy and would improve and stabilize milk prices, reduce volatility, which has led to more than 11,000 dairies going out of business since 2014. Limit the number of dairy farm exits and greatly reduce taxpayer expenditures. So we see this as a real benefit to all dairies across the country. And there is a drumbeat building for a federal order hearing happening right now. We oppose a federal order hearing, but what it could mean is that the manufacturing cost allowance, or the amount the dairy farmers pay to process products, could increase, and that would make milk production even less responsive to changes in market demand. So that's why we see, again, incentive-based dairy growth management plan is just critical. Also, an issue that's of great importance to dairy farmers is the ability to meet our environmental goals, and so we're supporting an alternative manure management program that's been here in California where dairy farmers have been able to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions and have additional water quality and air quality benefits. We'd like to see that successful program that only 1 in 3 get accepted to be broadened to the federal level. So again, many more issues here. I will submit our testimony, but I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you.
Lynn, thank you so much.
After Mike, we'll hear from Natasha Rankin with the Irrigation Association.
Chairman Thompson, members of the committee, welcome to the Central Valley of California, and thank you for the opportunity today to talk to you about the Farm Bill. My name is Mike Hemman, and I'm the president and CEO of Netafim USA. We're a drip irrigation manufacturer based right up the road in Fresno, California. I want to take the opportunity to highlight 2 main topics today. First, as I'm sure you're aware, we're facing a crisis out here in the West regarding water. Even after the record rainfall we've recently experienced, the demand for water from the Colorado River is significantly outpacing supply, and agricultural land throughout California, including land right here in the Central Valley, runs the risk of being fallowed due to SGMA regulations. We believe that you, as the leaders of the agricultural policy in the United States, have a unique opportunity to use this Farm Bill as a vehicle to promote programs and resources dedicated to not only keeping this agricultural land in production, but also increasing its productivity. Technology exists today that would enable our farmers to meet water reduction targets in the West without fallowing land. And I'd also say the most productive farmland in the world. I'd like to share a simple example using round numbers. In California and Arizona, we farm approximately 1 million acres of alfalfa, utilizing an average of 4 acre-feet of water per year. Converting this acreage from flood irrigation to micro irrigation would save approximately 2 million acre-feet of water per year. The primary barrier to this type of technology adoption is the capital expenditures that our farmers face to install this technology. Programs like EQIP and the recently announced Western Water and Working Lands Framework for Conservation Action will go a long way towards helping us keep productive farmland in production. Lastly, I want to highlight a success story that we spearheaded through the effective use of Farm Bill programs. A few years ago, Netafim partnered with the NRCS, Sustainable Conservation, DeJager Dairy, McCree Dairy, and Western United Dairies to develop a new solution for dairy effluent management. This full circular solution applies dairy effluent to forage crops through subsurface drip irrigation, and with the help of NRCS and private partners, we've helped many dairies in the state of California improve water efficiency, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and reduce nitrate leaching. This is a perfect example of how these type of programs should benefit our farmers, and we look forward to continuing to work together during the current revision of the Farm Bill to support U.S. farmers. Thank you for your time today.
Mike, thank you so much.
Checking to make sure it's still morning. Speaker McCarthy, Chairman Thompson, and distinguished members of Congress, on behalf of the Irrigation Association and our 1,200 members located across the United States, but also significantly represented here in California, we have members involved in irrigation, in manufacturing, as consultants, dealers, and contractors, and we thank you for providing us with the opportunity to give you our key priorities for the upcoming Farm Bill. Over half of U.S. crop sales come from irrigated farm operations, even though only 15% of the nation's total farmland is irrigated. Besides boosting farm productivity and profitability, irrigation is critical infrastructure that helps improve global food security, ensure national security, reduce producer risk, promote the economic vitality of rural America, and generate value for many related industries. Voluntary incentive-based conservation programs, such as EQIP, are integral to promoting producer adoption of efficient irrigation. We support increased investments in these critical programs, as well as programmatic changes that will help increase the number of farmers who can use these programs for vital irrigation projects. Specifically, we encourage Congress to eliminate the requirement that operations must have been irrigated 2 out of the last 5 years in order to be eligible for EQIP. Removing this requirement will help equip new irrigators with efficient systems and strategies. This will reduce crop loss from drought, lessening reliance on disaster assistance and crop insurance, topics that have been brought up today. We also support investments in education, research, and technical assistance programs that help identify and provide support to producers, essential components to help close the adoption gap and maximize producers' conservation gains from technologies that improve water use efficiency. Finally, the next Farm Bill needs to focus on closing the digital divide and protecting critical infrastructure from 21st century threats. Tools that improve irrigation efficiency rely on access to dependable, robust, high-speed internet. Closing that digital divide is vital to food and water security and will ensure that farmers have the tools they need to improve efficiency. And as growers increasingly rely on precision agriculture technologies, let's remember that recent developments may have shown us the importance of being able to assess cybersecurity risks to the food and agricultural system that we have, and that we have the practical tools available to address these risks. The Irrigation Association looks forward to working on a bipartisan basis with all of you in the upcoming months to advance U.S. agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Up next is Manuel Cunha with the Nisi Farmers League, President, followed by Kimberly Holding with the American Olive Oil Producers, followed by Jared Fernandez with Legacy Ranches, CEO and a Land O'Lakes board member.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very, very much. Congratulations. Congressman Thomas, thank you very, very much for coming to the Small Equipment Show across the country. I think it will be very interesting for some of you. Again, the folks, the congressmen that came from California outside, and our local congressmen, Costa and Valadeo and Panetta, and John, welcome aboard as a new congressman for the part of the San Joaquin Valley. And John, thank you also from up north. Appreciate it very much. I would like to speak on something that's a little different. It's called immigration. That's been an issue for me for 30 years after Ronald Reagan's immigration called IRCA. Farmers across the country depend on their families, but their family includes farm workers. And after 30 years, these workers are still in the lurch of not getting work authorization. They were here for COVID. They worked with the farmers. They made things happen. I would hope that the House Ag Committee will have some influence on immigration, of keeping families together in immigration, but getting them done once and for all. They're getting up like some of us. I've reached the age of 50, okay? And I haven't got Social Security yet. But people like me in the farming world that are 65 and 60 deserve to what they've paid into and the farmer has paid into. So I really would hope that we take care of these farm families. They made our farmers in this room what they are. Every one of those farmers that are here, those workers made it happen. And I want to thank all of you for taking care of those farm workers, because they are crucial. And I hope that we do not split, and I've had some discussions with some of you, Congressman, we do not split farm families from a packing house to a processing from the fields, because the wife will be working in the packing house, the husband is working in the field. And no industry, and especially agriculture, should not be noted for splitting farm families up. And a farm family includes the packing house and the processing. Again, thank you all. The last item, I'll make it quick. It's called EQIP funding. Tremendously important. There's $37 million in EQIP that was put in 1997, excuse me, in 1997 by Senator Cochran and Senator Feinstein. And that was to deal with air quality issues across the country. We need to increase that number to at least 50 to include agricultural burn programs, because California, San Joaquin Valley, the place you're in, we will stop being able to burn in 2024. Our farmers have to chip everything, incorporate compost. Very difficult, but they do need help for having that equipment come in. The San Joaquin Valley Air District has done a tremendous job with ARB in providing money to buy equipment, but we need funding to help those farmers. So increasing the 37 to 50 million, it's a 13 million, very little. Thank you very, very much, and I want to thank the crop insurance agents. And Congressman Thompson, thank you so much for being here today. Appreciate it very much. And Congressman Costa, thank you for all your work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Thompson, Speaker McCarthy, and so many members of the Agriculture Committee that have been champions for our olive oil industry. It's wonderful to have you here today. My name is Kimberly Holding. I'm President and CEO of the American Olive Oil Producers Association. We work on behalf of 80% of the production throughout the United States in 7 states to improve the markets for all consumers and our producers alike. Extra virgin olive oil provides numerous health benefits and plays a vital role in the prevention and treatment of chronic diet-related disease, and it's why it's vital to have programs and tools in place to ensure we support our producers in the U.S. To ensure consumers receive these health benefits and the culinary enjoyment that they desire, IOPA filed a joint petition with the Importers Association in July of 2022 for the FDA to establish a standard of identity for olive oil, regardless of where it is produced and sold here in the U.S. In the interest of American consumers, we hope that Congress will help us more forcefully in urging the FDA to adopt this standard, which would be the first national standard for olive oil here. IOPA is continuing to review opportunities for U.S. producers in the 2023 Farm Bill, but I would like to highlight 2 of our priorities, and that is within the research title. The USDA NEFA Specialty Crop Research Initiative Grant Program is incredibly important for our industry, and we ask that sufficient funding is available for that program, as well as the elimination of the matching funding requirements, which is currently within the discretion of the USDA. This makes it virtually impossible for nascent industries such as ours when we're seeking $3 to $4 million to create meaningful research for our growers, to improve production and implement smart climate agriculture practices to increase our sustainability and adapt to increasing climate changes that we're seeing. The other program I would like to highlight is crop insurance. Crop insurance, the NAP program, provides an important safety net for our growers in the U.S. And although our farmers utilize all the tools available to them, those tools fell short in 2022 crop year, as many of you know. Our losses exceeded well over $30 million just in the state of California and virtually produced no crop in Texas and Georgia this last year. So I would like to thank also the members of the committee for their efforts, including freeze as a qualifying weather event in the emergency relief program, because freeze is our #1 weather-related risk for our growers. Thank you for your time today, and I look forward to submitting additional comments.
Kimberly, thank you so much.
After Jarrett, we will hear from Richard Matoyan with the American Pistachio Growers.
Morning. My name is Jared Fernandez. I'm a partner in our 3rd-generation dairy farm in Tipton, California, just south of here. Our farm, Legacy Ranches, is operated by myself and 2 of my brothers. The dairy is made up of both Jersey and Holstein cattle. We have a methane digester, and we grow wheat, corn, alfalfa, oats, and pistachios. Legacy Ranch is also a proud member owner of Land O'Lakes, one of the largest cooperatives in the country. As a board member for Land O'Lakes, I speak to you today on behalf of the entire cooperative network, including over 1,500 dairy producers, 900 local ag retailers across the country. We want to thank you for the opportunity to participate in today's listening session. I'll focus my comments on a handful of critical issues the committee should consider as it crafts the 2023 Farm Bill. First, the rising cost of doing business and inflationary pressures are chipping away at farmers' margins. To protect farmers against that price uncertainty, farm safety net programs and the federal crop insurance program are key to creating a predictable operating environment for farmers. We need Congress to maintain strong support for these programs and fend off any cuts. We encourage you to consider updating these programs to make them more effective, increasing reference prices, expanding producers' flexibilities, and keeping crop insurance affordable to farmers. I strongly encourage you to ensure a farm safety net program adequately supports farmers facing weather-related challenges and water supply concerns, which California farmers are experiencing day in and day out. Next, we need bipartisan collaboration that encourages the adoption of conservation practices at scale. There is significant opportunity for farmers looking to utilize the USDA's conservation program, and the Farm Bill presents an opportunity to support and streamline these programs to make them easier for farmers to use, and we encourage you to consider allowing the private sector, including farmer cooperatives and ag retailers, to extend the conservation delivery system. Third, the Farm Bill must invest in our rural development. Basic needs like healthcare facilities, high-speed internet, fire departments, clean drinking water, we all support by the Farm Bill. Fourth, federal funding for agricultural research has fallen to its lowest levels since 1970, while other countries like China and Brazil have dramatically increased investment. This is not only a competitive issue, but a food security issue. We know that investment in ag research has lifted crop yields, improved genetics to increase production, lower input costs, and enhance environmental outcomes. And finally, I want to mention one additional issue that is not necessarily within the jurisdiction of the Agriculture Committee or the Farm Bill, but is critically important to American agriculture. We need ag labor reform. The labor crisis is impacting our nation's ability to grow and produce the food we need. We are approximately 2.5 million workers short of the necessary levels to meet these production needs. Mr. Chairman and members, I want to thank you for coming to Tulare and to hear from local producers and stakeholders. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today and look forward to working with you on the 2023 Farm Bill.
Gerald, thanks so much.
Good morning, Chairman Thompson, Speaker McCarthy, and esteemed members of Congress. My name is Richard Matoyan. I am president of American Pistachio Growers. We're based here in California, but we represent growers in California, Arizona, and New Mexico. California does produce 99% of the nation's pistachios, and 97% of that is produced right here in the San Joaquin Valley. And Speaker McCarthy, before in your old district, you represented 40% of the acreage. I don't know what it is today, but I know between yourself, Congressman Valadeo, Duarte, and Costa, you represent the vast majority of the pistachio acreage in the state of California. And Congressman LaMalfa, your district is planting a lot of pistachios, so they are not far behind. I want to talk to you about a few issues, water and drought, obvious issues. We just urge your continued attention and urgency in doing what you can to help add additional funds to infrastructure and whatever else you can to bring more water to the state of California. Pest and disease. We are doing a novel approach, which we are receiving federal funding for sterile navel orange worm to be released over a pilot project, about 4,000 acres of land here in the San Joaquin Valley, to see what utilizing sterile insect technology can do to help reduce the population of the wild flies and ultimately reduce the use of pesticides. MAP, it's already been mentioned before, 65 to 70% of our commodity is exported. The MAP dollars have remained static for at least a decade and a half. We need to raise that from $200 million to at least $400 million to keep up with inflation. Section 32 purchases, a very, very important program, not only for agriculture, but also for the recipients who receive these food products all across the U.S. We need to make sure that the funding for that program is maintained at the least and is increased. And we need to make sure that USDA is focused on those commodities that need help in being able to utilize that particular program for their purchase of their commodity to help them out. And last but not least, crop insurance is a very, very important program. Pistachios were one of the last permanent crops to be introduced into the RMA program in 2012. It has been used successfully by growers. There are two components that I'd like for you to focus on. One is the adjusted gross income. That limit is set at $900,000. That needs to be indexed upwards because specialty crops on a per acre basis produce a lot of income. And so we need to make sure that that is adjusted upwards. And lastly, the payment limitation that's currently in place needs to be increased for that particular program as well. And I thank you for giving me the time and attention for my topics.
Great, thank you.
Richard, thank you very much.
Next up, we'll have Itzel Gutierrez with the California Association of Food Banks, followed by Ermi Schroeder with Jess Smith Cotton Company, and followed by Alicia Rockwell with Blue Diamond Growers.
Hi, my name is Itzul Gutierrez from the California Association of Food Banks, and thank you all for being here today and your time. We represent 41 member food banks across California. As you heard, 1 in 5 Californians don't know where their next meal is coming from. That's 8 million Californians. SNAP is our most effective anti-hunger program, providing food benefits to over 5 million low-income Californians, as you heard Natalie say earlier. And it brought $11 billion in federal food benefits to California, which is $20 billion in total economic activity for 272 million jobs statewide. However, the end of the public health emergency means that emergency allotments will end and a major hunger cliff is arriving here in California and in the nation, with 5 million Californians' food benefits cut by an average of $82 a month. And some households, like our older neighbors on SNAP, will go from receiving $281 a month to only $23 a month, many who are on a fixed income. California cannot make up for the $500 million per month benefits lost. Neither can food banks do that for that loss either. This is why we need to address SNAP benefit adequacy in the Farm Bill. SNAP is based on the Thrifty Food Plan, which was reviewed as directed by Congress in the 2018 Farm Bill on a bipartisan basis, the first update in over 45 years, which was long overdue. However, even with that increase, SNAP benefits are going to be $550 per person a day. $550 a day is not enough. Not enough with the rising cost of food, the cost of living, high energy and gas cost. The low-cost food plan would base SNAP benefits on a more adequate food market basket, and it would also ease impossible choices that families with children are forced to make between paying for food and shelter, and that older Californians and people with disabilities must make between paying for food and medicine. SNAP benefits are a lifeline for rural communities. As our best defense against hunger and also driving our critical food economy from agriculture production, transportation, and the customers and vital community retailers, supporting the same communities that feed our nation and the world. We ask you all to ensure that benefit adequacy is addressed in the Farm Bill. In addition, SNAP needs to expand to college students, eliminate work requirements, and improve DSNAP. Thank you so much to the committee members for your time, and we hope that all members can support SNAP.
Thank you very much.
That is something that I hope with your leadership you can get changed in the new Farm Bill and help all the cotton growers in this room. That would bring definitely tremendous value to them. My last point is about funding.
with FMD, MAP funding, we haven't really seen an increase in these two programs close to nearly 20 years. It's something we definitely need to keep ag exports competitive. It'd be great to get also more money in the baseline. I think a real importance today is to stress to the Ag Committee that we're able to get these resources necessary to deal with the challenges in the cotton industry, where we can use those funds to help with ag research, and especially given that money to the cotton growers who desperately need it. I thank you for your time.
All right. Ernie, thank you so much.
Good morning. Good morning, Speaker McCarthy, Chairman Thompson, all of our congressional members and committee members. I'm Alicia Rockwell, and I am the Chief Government Affairs Officer representing Blue Diamond Growers Cooperative. We do represent over half of all the almond growers here in California. Majority of small growers are part of our membership. I am here today to talk to you about something that others have mentioned, and I appreciate that from my colleagues, but trade is incredibly important to the almond industry as it is to much of agriculture. Nearly, or actually more than 70% of what is produced here in California is exported. Blue Diamond exports to over 100 countries globally, both as a brand and as an ingredient, and we desperately need more tools to help us with market access. You've heard the program being mentioned, MAP. It has not been increased. It is oversubscribed. And unfortunately, our trade policy at the moment is rather stalled. And so it becomes even more critical that we utilize a tool such as MAP in order to get our product into the global market. Right now, unfortunately, we do compete with Australia, who also grows almonds, and they have successfully secured 2 FTAs, free trade agreements, with our 2 major markets, 1 and 2, India and China, leaving us at a distinct disadvantage in the market. So I really do plead with the committee that this is the year, this is the Farm Bill, that we finally look to getting more dollars put into the market access program. And as a branded cooperative participating in this, we are very much well suited to be able to give you the ROI, because we can track our sales when we go into a new market. And we can tell you that right now, for about every dollar that is invested in the program, we can deliver about $152 in ROA. So, just to put it in perspective, that's why this program is oversubscribed. Others are finding the same type of results in leveraging the programming. So we really do. I would like to thank this delegation in particular. You are the leaders for bipartisan policy making. You come together on those critical issues for agriculture, and you find a way. You find a way to help us and to make it work. And I implore you to continue with that work as we go into the next session. And thank you, all of you, for what you do for all of agriculture, not just for almonds. Thank you.
Allison, thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Up next is Brad Bosch with Bosch Dairies, followed by Kevin Monk with Sustainable Oils, and Wayne Richmond with the California Hemp Association.
Good morning. I'm Brad Bosch, Bosch Dairies in Southern California. We ship our milk to California Dairies and Dairy Farmers of America. We milk about 1,000 cows down there in Southern California. Today, the dairy industry is working hard to reach a consensus on the federal milk marketing order improvements that will be submitted to USDA for consideration in a national federal order hearing. Of most importance is returning to the hire of Class 1 mover. The current formula is blamed for a nearly $1 billion loss over the last few years. Discussions in the industry are also focused on potential changes to the make allowance. While make allowance changes will also go through a federal order process, the industry lacks the data to make good decisions on this issue. I hope that the next Farm Bill will include language giving USDA the authority to conduct mandatory plant cost studies so we better understand the real costs of dairy manufacturing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Brad. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chairman Thompson, Speaker McCarthy, and honorable representatives for hosting this listening session today. My name is Kevin Monk, and I farm corn and soybeans in Central Illinois with my parents. But I'm also here representing Sustainable Oils and Global Clean Energy Holdings. Sustainable Oils works with farmers to grow a water-efficient, nutrient-efficient, non-food crop called camelina. Camelina was recently awarded a $30 million Climate Smart Commodities grant for its potential to lower greenhouse gas emissions, capture carbon in the soil as it's grown, and produce ultra-low carbon renewable fuels as it's processed. Thank you for allowing us to speak today about the importance of incentivizing the growth of intermediate crops like camelina in the upcoming Farm Bill. Renewable fuels are important, but there is an estimated deficit of feedstocks available to meet the surging demand for biofuels in our country and worldwide. Camelina and other intermediate crops can help us meet this demand. Camelina works as a biofuel feedstock that provides soil health benefits. It's grown between traditional crop cycles on land that is otherwise fallow or idle. It does not displace main crops. And it provides additional revenue to farmers that grow them from access that would otherwise sit unused. Intermediate crops, like camelina, need support on the Farm Bill. Our crops are unique, and they're new to many farmers. Incentives would help crops like ours expand and assist our industry filling the biofuel feedstock demand responsibility. Please consider adding more incentives and updating BCAP for intermediate crops like camelina in the 2024 Farm Bill. Thank you for your time.
Kevin, thanks so much.
Yes, good morning, members of Congress, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman. I'm here. My name is Wayne Richmond. I am the president of the California Hemp Association. I'm here speaking on behalf of farmers that want to grow this specialty crop. You all did a great job in freeing it up in the 2018 Farm Bill, but we got a lot more work to go. I'm representing a policy ask that is before you in Washington through the National Hemp Association. I am chairman of the Standing Committee of Hemp Organizations, which represents 95% of the farmers who want to grow hemp across the country. I am also the regional lead for the U.S. Hemp Building Association, which I'd like to bring your attention to. We are here asking for your support in the fiber and grain exemption that we are asking for. This is to allow farmers to grow the fiber varieties that they're used to growing, eliminating criminal background checks and eliminating THC testing when you can visually see that it's a row crop. This will lighten the load on our law enforcement personnel. It'll also lighten the load on our agricultural commissioners and put the proper focus on that management of any cannabinoid products. We're not here to talk about that today. CBD is a train that left and we don't care, frankly. We would like to invite you to come by booth H43, H45 to see real fiber products. Our country is founded on this crop, this specialty crop. George Washington grew it. Thomas Jefferson grew it. The flag that Betsy Ross made was hemp fiber, and it is America's original fiber crop. The draft of the Constitution is written on hemp paper. So I'm real serious about this as a crop we need. Also, as we talk about water management here in this state, it uses 1.5 acre feet as opposed to 4 acre feet for strawberries, for example. It's a great phytoremediator. It captures carbon when grown as a road crop to the tune of 9 to 10 tons per acre sequestered. If you build homes out of it, you get healthy homes that are fire resistant, mold resistant, and continue to sequester carbon. So I leave you with those thoughts about what this plant can do, not what this plant was promoted to do in the last few years by people who don't support farmers and what farmers need in terms of a good rotation crop at a minimum. Thank you very much.
Wayne, thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Next up is Gary Mantru with Peacock Farming. followed by Cassidy Bates with the Food Bank of Contra Costa Solano, followed by Doug Bennick.
Mitch McConnell big on him. Is that Mitch McConnell big on him?
Yeah, he wasn't huge on it, but Jamie.
Mr. Speaker, Committee Chair, the rest of the gentlemen, I'm grateful to have the opportunity to be here. Thank you. My name is Gary Martin. I'm a cotton grower and producer in Fireball, California. We've been growing cotton for 90 years on our farm. Producers must have an effective safety net. For upland cotton, growers' production costs now range between 90 cents to $1 per pound, and the market currently is in the 80 cents. The sharp increase in costs in our crop translates into a significant decline in the effective safety net offered by the price loss coverage, or the PLC reference price. Since the passage of the 2018 Farm Bill, ad hoc assistance has been authorized to address weather-related crop disasters and extreme price declines caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and trade retaliatory measures. It is critical that the Ag Committees have the funding necessary to address these challenges in the next Farm Bill. California is the country's largest producer of extra long staple, or ELS, cotton. Sharp increases in production costs have also eroded the profitability of ELS producers, with current costs in excess of the safety net provided by the loan program. The recent supply chain disruptions have only enhanced the need to further support the U.S. textile industry through the economic assistance for textile mills. The EAATM has allowed investments in new equipment and technology, thus allowing companies to reduce costs, increase efficiencies, and become more competitive. Finally, the 2023 Farm Bill should not impose any further tightening of payment limits or restrictions due to size. Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity.
Gary, thank you so much.
Hello, can everyone hear me in the back? All right. Chairman, Speaker, committee members, thank you all so much for being here today. My name is Cassidy Bates, and I'm the Government and Public Affairs Manager with the Food Bank of Contra Costa and Solano. For those who may not be familiar with our service area, Contra Costa is one of the 6 Bay Area counties, and Solano County is when we start heading into the North State. Today, I specifically want to provide 2 recommendations related to the SNAP, or known as CalFresh, program here in California. Additionally, due to our Feeding America affiliation, we offer support to all of the 16 Northern California counties, north of us all the way up to the Oregon border. As a food bank, we are currently serving more than 350,000 people every single month. To put that into perspective, we were serving about 178,000 prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, so we're up at least 100,000 new people every single month. The 350,000 individuals we're serving monthly, that is a rate that's higher currently than what we served at the peak of the pandemic. So what that is telling us is that the social safety net programs we saw during the pandemic, they worked, they were really effective in mitigating food insecurity in our region, and as those have started to sunset, food insecurity is again on the rise in our community. Turning specifically to the Farm Bill, I'd like to briefly mention Disaster SNAP. For the past few years, the Food Bank has served as the West Coast Disaster Hub through our Feeding America affiliation, where we support all Western states through times of disaster. As many of you know, California unfortunately has a wildfire season. During these wildfire seasons, DSNAP, or Disaster SNAP, is incredibly beneficial to the clients we serve, especially through the North State, helping them recuperate some of their food losses when they're either temporarily or permanently displaced. Before I wrap up, I want to mention the importance of SNAP for college students. Over the past few years, we were so proud to see the advancements of the SNAP program eligibility to further include students, whether that's K through 12 or our university age students. As many members have mentioned here today, students that are hungry are less effective students. We hear from the college students that we help serve that SNAP not only helps them succeed, but it helps them graduate and go on to thrive in our communities. So in summary, Disaster SNAP and SNAP for college students is what we encourage you to support in this next Farm Bill. Thank you everyone for your time, your bipartisan support as we head into this next Farm Bill. We know that our food system takes a lot of partnership from everyone in this room to serve everyone in our state and our nation. So thank you for the partnership.
All right, thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Is Doug Bennick here? All right, moving on to Michael Harris with... All right, after Doug, we'll hear from Michael Harris with Black Ag, and then we're going to end the listening session with Janae DaCosta from Driscoll's.
Actually, I'm not sure Doug is here.
Right here.
Oh, is he? Oh, there we go. Good.
I'm quiet, I'm sorry. No, I want to thank everyone for the chance to speak, and I feel confident with the fellas here at this table. They're going to protect us as much as the state tries to put us out of business. It's a fact. I feel confident with the intelligence and the common sense at this table to help us out. I've worked closely on a project. By the way, I'm a grower of table grapes and some tree fruit and raisins, and my main business is crop insurance. And I appreciate the comments that we heard today about our program. And I've worked closely with Congressman Valadeo, Congressman Panetta, and Congressman Costa over the years on project, and lately we've achieved a success I've been working on for a year and a half to help the delivery of the system for specialty crop growers, not just for California, but other specialty crop states, to name a few: Michigan, Washington, Florida, and Texas. And I've been dealing with agents in these other states also. In the Farm Bill, we need to address the system of the caps on A&O. That's what caps us as agents in doing our job to effectively deliver this product. Right now, the specialty crops, specifically due to the price of corn and wheat skyrocketing, there's a thing known as a cap on the A&O. So when the prices go up there, the price is what we earn is dramatically affected. So we're all earning about 40% of what we did in 2012. So we addressed the fix for that in the Farm Bill, asking also for an inflationary adjustment, which got overlooked 5 years ago, that was promised to us 10 years ago. Enough said about that. What we're going to have to do currently, when the Farm Bill comes up, there are always attacks from the extreme right and the extreme left on the crop insurance program as a whole. The program works well. Premiums are collected, claims are paid, and it works very well as other businesses creating a profit do. I ask that we address these, never get too complacent. We fought these in years past. There will be attacks to our whole program nationwide, and we must address our successes to these, naysayers and, our so-called, I'm not going to call them enemies, but that's what they are. Also, I've seen from my growers, I talked to hundreds of growers. Right now, California agriculture, it's in the worst shape it's been for a long time. There's other problems like everyone addressed here, and I think it was Audrey Betancourt that said, our goal is to keep farmers farming. That's true. That's the goal of everybody here. Crop insurance, and again, I want to address a little bit on being, our imports at the wrong season coming in. Lemons from Venezuela and Argentina at the wrong time. We've got other newer countries coming in on our table grapes, which have had the worst year in years last year. I think we can help to fix that problem by recognizing it. We've worked well with Chile over the years. They respect our window. Mexico. Let's keep that in mind when we're bombarded with new products coming in, just cramping our style and closing our windows. I want to thank all of you very much, and we feel confident with the fellas here at this table. Thanks so much.
Doug, thank you. Much appreciated. Appreciate your confidence.
Yes, sir. That efforts in the crop insurance review.
Speaker, Chair, GT, it's good to be here. My name is Michael Harris.
for many years, many years, been celebrating February is Black History Month. Today is Valentine's Day, right? And it's not lost on me that the good women that support you are not here, but they're here. And there's some women, powerful women in the House and the Senate that are going to make this farm bill a very special one, bipartisan. So again, it's Black History Month, and most of y'all know clearly that people of African descent have been doing agriculture long before we were given a one-way boat ride ticket over here enslaved. We were doing agriculture, and then having towns all up and down the state. One just recently kind of burned down, tragic fire. Lincoln Heights up in Congressman Lamotha's district. Right around the corner, my teacher helped set up Allensworth, all black town back in the day, as a state park. When Martin Luther King was killed, and instead of rioting with everybody else, he wrote legislation that got President Reagan and then Governor Reagan to sign the legislation. So the past is very interesting. 1863, Lincoln Heights burned down. Abraham Lincoln set up the People's Department, 1863. And so now we have the greatest opportunity ever to make it the People's Department. I too am colorblind, so you just got to wave your hand, I ain't gonna see. But I become colorblind because, it's like in my family, my mother's like real light skinned and my father's real dark, so it's like snow to crow. I wouldn't say that if y'all was y'all, but that's how I grew up. And when I was born, Martin Luther King had just gave the speech. I had a dream, and folks is dreaming. I'm like, can we just grow some food? I mean, for real. So I was talking to GT earlier, Honorable Congressman, and there was a delegation from Ghana, and it reminded me that Dr. King and Coretta were there with Vice President Nixon in Ghana when Ghana became a state, nation state, the first independent country in Africa, and March 5th, 6th, 1957 will be the anniversary of the independence of Ghana. And this is an agricultural place that we need to do more for that. And so a few years ago, I committed to being intentionally colorblind. So we're going to do some things here in California that's kind of innovative. We're going to work with the Farm Bureau and actually put people in production agriculture, lead the Farm Bill alone. That's on one side. I don't know if that's my African side or American side. I haven't figured that out yet. But we're going to work with the Farm Bureau to actually put people in production agriculture and not worry about the politics. And we're going to go to D.C. and be in the halls, try to get things that make sense for everybody. Because some of y'all know the trees are dead up here, and they got beetles inside eating the trees, and we need to figure out how to pelletize that and figure out how to reforest so we can retain the water up in the hills so we won't have systemic drought. There's a lot of things that we have to do together. So, as we say, we're colorblind and we're ag family. I'm happy it's in the dirt. Like when it rains, not that often, I go out and collect worms. What's he doing out there collecting worms? Well, I don't know. I don't run that part. I'm almost done. My auntie say, don't mess with my time. Maxine Waters. It's my time. Hold on, man. So the idea that...
Just a couple of...
Okay, go ahead. You're not going to stop talking, so go ahead.
No, thank you, sir. My name is.
You invested on my time. Right?
I know, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm Brian, by the way.
Oh, Brian. At least you got Jesus on your chest.
By the way, I'm wearing red. I'm glad you're bipartisan. I'm wearing this because it's Valentine's Day. I feel a little out of place. Most of y'all are wearing blue. And where I grew up in Compton, we had the Crips who wore red and the Piru who wore blue. That's down in LA County. But I'm here today, and I'm out of that part of the world. I live in Kern County. I started my own company. Chair Thompson, thank you for being here from North Carolina.
He's Pennsylvania.
I'm sorry, from Pennsylvania. I'm sorry. Okay, so thank you for being here. From Speaker McCarthy. Thank you, Aaron Falk. I've met with him. And Rep. Valadeo, thank you very much for being here as well. And I met with Mr. Whalen and Moses as well, and I met with you personally on my technology. And the entire agriculture committee, now he remembers who I am, yeah. I applied for a USDA grant with your help, and I didn't get it, unfortunately.
But Vincent Fong, who was here earlier, I applied for a grant. Basically, I have technology that doubles the yield of citrus crop and adds 40% to the yield of almond crop by using carbon dioxide, this terrible gas that everybody complains about, but it's food for crops. And it's an invention that I have recently patented that it exploits the science that's been around for 100 years called crop carbon dioxide enrichment. I invite you to come by my booth. I beg you to come by my booth. I used to work for Chevron and a whole bunch of oil companies, and I've left that business. I'm in the ag business, and I'm here to take CO2 from the environment, from air, and from industry. I was given a grant from CDFA, okay, thanks to Vincent Fong's help, and I grow almonds, 40% more almonds by using the refinery's 200,000 tons a year CO2.
Yeah. And if you go ahead and wrap up,
my booth is 2505 in Pavilion B. Please come by. I'll give you my card.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead and
Yeah, I'll be real quick to wrap up. The blessing, and I like this man's style, because that's how I used to be, just interrupt, get your stuff out the way. But he does have Jesus on his chest, so he can't be all bad. I'm just saying. So April is Pan-Africa Global Trade Investment Month, and we're going to do a conference building on what happened just a month ago in D.C., U.S.-Africa Summit. And in some ways, it's easier for me to get on a plane and go fly to Africa and build there. It's in some ways. But I'm born and raised in California. I'm going to farm here. I'm going to die here. I'm going to be in the dirt, and, we're going to sprout up again. But the idea that we can help lead the effort in Africa to take appropriate technology, California, American ingenuity, engineering, and help Africa to be what it is. It is a breadbasket. It's a beautiful place. But the idea is that there's other people around the world that are already there on the ground and they're not necessarily helping, in my opinion. And we need to take America to Africa in a positive way. So I look forward to working with you guys. And Lincoln Heights, woo, Lord have mercy.
All right. Michael, thank you so much.
All right, folks, we've got two more, and then unfortunately that's last call. I will be the bad guy, but I am here to keep things on time.
There you go.
So we've got Dennis Burnson with the Table Olive Association, and then our last speaker will be Janae with Driscoll's. And then after that, we got to cut it off.
Thank you. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. Our sector, the table, I'm a large table olive grower in Northern California. There's about 600 table olive growers in the state. Our sector's experienced firsthand the impacts of unfair foreign competition, which has informed our thinking about what should be on the Farm Bill. As some of you know, the Spanish olive industry for years has sold dumped, highly subsidized olives into the U.S. market. Those unfair practices came close to destroying the olive sector in California. We brought a trade action 5 years ago, and we now have anti-dumping and countervailing duties on Spanish olives. The additional duties have given our industry the breathing room we needed to stabilize and to modernize ourselves. Even now, though, the EU is trying to terminate those actions by exerting pressure on the administration and making baseless moves in the WTO. The EU is basically saying it should be allowed to price unfairly in the U.S. market with no trade consequences. Many of you members here today have helped counteract Europe's pressure campaign, and we very much thank you for that. But Europe continues, even with our additional U.S. duties, to put over 1/3 of their entire budget into the farm subsidies to modernize its production, offset its rising costs, and keep its farmers in business to protect diversified supply for its people. So even with our additional duties, we have to modernize as well, just to remain competitive in the marketplace. Our sector launched a few years ago its own modern acreage initiative to transition to mechanical harvesting. We've made good progress and attracted a lot of interest, but we can't compete with the massive treasury of the European Union. which is dedicated to making sure the Spanish olive industry remains the largest in the world. To help our farm sectors and family farmers compete against unfair trade practices like these and safeguard our country's food security, we need additional assistance to help us modernize and accelerate the transition to mechanical harvesting and remain competitive with foreign suppliers in other ways. Your efforts to include assistance like this in the new Farm Bill to help counter unfair foreign competition would be greatly appreciated, certainly by the table olive sector, if not many other sectors that we find in this room and across the country. Thank you so very much for your time.
Dennis, thank you so much.
Good morning. Speaker McCarthy, Chairman Thompson, distinguished members of Congress. As the last commenter for this morning on the Farm Bill, I want to thank you for spending time with us, for promoting U.S. agriculture, and also for being here specifically in Tulare at the World Ag Expo. My name is Janae DaCosta. I'm Chief of Staff at Driscoll's, the berry company. In addition to Driscoll's, I am here representing the International Fresh Produce Association, which is also a member of the Specialty Crop Alliance. Driscoll's is a family-owned company headquartered in Watsonville, California. Through traditional plant breeding techniques, the company develops and markets fresh strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries, which are produced by our network of over 900 growers throughout the world. They're all independent growers who own their own organizations, and we at Driscoll's as the marketer split revenue with them. We have these independent growers in California, Florida, Washington, Oregon, and Georgia, as well as in Canada and Mexico to support the North American, US, Mexico, and Canada berry consumption. Our goal is to provide consumers with great tasting berries 52 weeks of the year. Going to the Farm Bill, there are numerous challenges our growers face. A lack of labor and a dramatically changing climate are key areas that can and must be addressed to help our growers remain competitive and provide quality produce to consumers. We have seen that Farm Bill programs both promote the export of America's specialty crops and help prevent unwanted plant pests from accompanying specialty crops imported into the United States. Continuing to bolster technical assistance for specialty crops can help American producers overcome technical barriers to trade imposed by foreign countries, in effect, blocking American produce from those markets. With the ongoing drought in the West exacerbated by the recent flooding in California, growers are looking at options for risk mitigation and management in light of an unpredictable climate. There is an opportunity to design modern risk management tools for the field produce sector. Improving the specialty crop insurance program could attract a larger percentage of the field produce industry into the program. Finally, I would be remiss if I did not address the ongoing and urgent need to address labor issues. While I understand this is not directly within the traditional parameters of the Farm Bill, it is the #1 issue affecting our berry growers. Agricultural producers across the country need a legal and stable workforce. Without immigration reform, growers are forced to gamble with whether they will have enough people to help them harvest the crops planted or be forced to plow them under. Our ask is that Congress work to pass immigration legislation that addresses those agricultural labor needs, recognizing those who have been here working and contributing to the nation's food supply. Again, thank you very much for this opportunity to speak to you. We welcome you to visit us down on the Central Coast to see our research facilities and taste our berries. Have a great day.
All right, very good. Thank you. We are going to move to some closing comments from our members that we have here today, and so I am honored once again to yield to the Speaker of the House.
I just want to say thank you for participation. I want to thank this group, this bipartisan group. We've got a big job to get this Farm Bill done, and we'll get it done, but this is a great deal of help for us. So thank you all very much, and thank the chairman for his work.
Thank you so much. Now another gentleman from the Central Valley, Mr. Valadeo.
No, I just wanted to say thank you to the group that made the trip out here, especially those that came from the East Coast. This was a nice session for us, and obviously it's an honor for us to host the first one right here in Tulare, California. So thank you all who played a role in this, and let's continue this conversation because we've got a few months to get this done.
Congressman Costa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Speaker, and for my colleagues who are here today. I started off by saying this morning, and we've had a great listening session, haven't we? Sarah, applause for all of you who have testified. It's been very productive. We've learned a great deal, and food, again, is a national security issue. And for some of you who are not familiar with the halls of Washington, the Farm Bill is one of the most bipartisan bills that we act on every 5 years. And so it's with that spirit, Mr. Chairman, that we're all here today working, we hope this year, for a very successful bipartisan Farm Bill, because it's all about sustainable agriculture. We have 7 billion people on the planet. By the middle of this century, we're likely to have 9 billion people. Sustainable agriculture is critical to America. We have in California challenges with a broken water system, a broken immigration system, not directly involved in the Farm Bill, but part of the Farm Worker Modernization Act that we need to focus on. I think the thing that I learned here, Mr. Chairman, that I think we're going to have to work on, when we look at the 12 titles and the popularity of the MAP program, the EQIP program, the conservation programs, crop insurance, research, nutrition, is baseline funding. We're going to run up against baseline funding because the success of many of these programs are oversubscribed. So we're going to have to figure out how to deal with that. But looking forward to your leadership. I know that we'll look at an above all strategy, working together, dealing with the inflationary impacts that many of our people who spoke today noted. And we know that crafting solutions to make sure that America's agriculture remains the #1 agricultural industry in the entire world. Nobody does it better than the American farmer. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Congressman Lamoffa.
Thank you, Chairman GT. Really appreciate you being here, and all those that worked to assemble this panel and this great event here. I'll just rattle through a couple things. Obviously, this year, Farm Bill, this year, got to get it done. It expires. Some of the greatest focuses we need to have to continue to be energy, okay? Not necessarily an Ag Committee deal, but we know how badly it affects Ag when prices are through the roof on electricity, diesel, all sorts of fuel. And I don't think electric-powered vehicles are going to save the day for us, notwithstanding something might be happening over here a little later. That said, forestry, that's the subcommittee that I have the privilege of chairing this year. And Michael Harris said it very well. The better we manage our forests, the more water we have downhill, right? We have 500 or more trees per acre on a situation that should have 50 adult trees per acre. That water will get back into our waterways and back down where we can use it, and we still have much healthier forests in the process. We've got to get Forest Service to move on the pace and scale with which we manage our forests. Not an Ag Committee, or not this subject here necessarily today, but it's all related, as we will learn. Water itself. I come from the north where water seems to be more plentiful. On the west side of the Sacramento Valley, I saw devastation from the water being taken from our farmers like I'd never seen before, like you all are sort of used to. And I sympathize because you all should not have to be used to. This has been 30 plus years that water's been taken from you to go out the delta for a smelt or something else, and that has not worked. It seems like we're actually doing harm the more water we push out. I guess we're drowning them or something. So it isn't working what's happening with the increase of environmental water. And indeed, do not back down, folks, when the LA Times writes, well, 80% of the water in California goes to ag. No, it's 40%. 50% goes to environmental. 40 used to be for ag. Now it's a smaller number, and about 10% for urban and people use. So we have to fight hard on this water thing. I have Shasta Dam in my district. I have Oroville Dam in my district, 8 million acre feet combined. San Luis Reservoir is not in my area, normally not in my deal maybe. We need to be filling that. Those pumps need to be chugging as hard as they can, get that thing full, 2 million acre feet, so you all have a little bit more to deal with. And so we have to fight with those folks to run the pumps at the Delta to do that. We need your voice on that. Farm labor, we worked really hard in the last 2 Congresses to get a pretty decent bill through. Ain't perfect, but we got one done out of the House with my colleagues here, bipartisan, okay? These 3 fellows on the Democrat side of the aisle, we all worked together on that. It's kind of how legislation is supposed to look. It isn't an immigration bill, okay? It's a narrow bill on farm labor. It doesn't mean amnesty or all this other stuff. It means we can take care of the problem we've had and get a farm labor force. It's going to have to look a little different this time around, but stick with us on that. We have to keep it, I'd love to, like what Manuel said, bring processors into it, but it might blow up the bill. We have to do what we can get done. So, I could go all day on this, but I'm passionate about this stuff. And what's really, really important is that, whether the forests are burning down, it's taken 8 of my towns are gone because of non-forest management and the water that could mean, or it means the energy, it means water supply. We need your voices to not give up. We need you to be passionate with us and not be called bad names by the LA Times. I try to explain to people on the East Coast with constant speeches on the House floor about how 99% of our tomatoes, 99% of our olives come from California. And if we don't have water to grow them, then they're not going to get their tomato paste in New York to put on their pasta and their pizza, okay? It has to come from here. We're not going to import it all. I'm sorry I took too much time here, but we have to focus. We have to win. And we don't have a lot more time to waste to do this because we're not going to be here. Talk to our walnut guys. Talk to our walnut guys. They're not going to be here a lot longer if we don't get focused and do the things that produce for the people of this country, not for balloons, not for a broken border, not all this other stuff. We got to get focused. Thank you. God bless you for being here. Thanks for letting me take part.
Mr. Moffa, thank you so much. As chairman, one of my goals is to bring him out of his shell so he's a little more passionate. Yeah, he does a great job. That's why I was proud to have him chair that forestry subcommittee. The gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Rouser.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a great honor and pleasure to be here with you today and to get and listen to your input. As mentioned, I'm from North Carolina and quite frankly live about as far east as you can be from here unless you're going to go to an island in the Atlantic Ocean. And I've been here, this is not my first time, actually my second time. I was out here about a year or so ago with our buddy Devin Nunes, who, by the way, sends his regards and wishes he could be here with us today as well. But greatly appreciate your input. My growers in North Carolina have a lot of the same fundamental issues that you have. Basically, can you please help get the government out of the way so that we can do what we want to do and need to do and can do to make American agriculture great? And as was mentioned earlier, American agriculture means food security. Not only food security, it means national security. So with that, I just want to thank you for your input. I appreciate it very much. It's going to be very helpful to us as we work to craft a stronger safety net than what we have in place now, and plus address the other needs that arise. Thank you again.
Thank you, David. Now another great Californian, Congressman Carbajal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to you for hosting this listening session. Thank you to Representative Valadeo for hosting us. Although the food was a little scant in the back, Mr. Valadeo, I just thought I should share that. Really appreciate this bipartisan effort today to really hear from all the stakeholders. Sitting on the committee, I look forward to advocating for California agriculture, especially specialty crops. And I also look forward to making sure that our farm bill is one that benefits our farmers, ranchers, farm workers, and builds on our nutrition assistance programs, the SNAP program. I appreciate also hearing from the food banks that were here today in that regard. I have the distinction of being a son of a farm worker. I worked many a summers with my father in many farms, and I now represent a district whose number one industry is agriculture. So I look forward to bridging all of those important interests. And I hear you loud and clear about water, infrastructure, and immigration reform. Last term, we worked on the Farm Workforce Modernization Act, which was a bipartisan bill. Unfortunately, it didn't make it over the finish line, but working on other committees, we hope to be able to move that forward as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Salute. Thank you so much. Now, pleased to recognize another gentleman from California, Congressman Jimmy Panetta.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate this opportunity. Obviously, want to give a thanks to Mr. Speaker, and then, of course, to Representative Valadeo for hosting us. And thanks to all of you for being here and actually giving us the information that we need, the evidence that we need to make our arguments back in Washington, D.C. Look, I know that when you turn on the TV, you see a lot of yelling and screaming. And sure, you're going to have that because we're going to fight for our interests. But the fact is, for most of the time in Congress, you have members like you see up here who actually get along, who actually don't just point out our differences, we work to find our similarities. And everything that you said today provides us with that evidence upon which we can work together, find our similarities, and basically produce a nice farm bill coming up this year. I always realize that basically, we are not the brain trust, especially, look, I know some of my colleagues may think they are, not up here, but some others actually think they know it all. We'll be the first to admit we don't. That's why listening to you is so important. Rick Antle, God rest his soul, Rick Antle once said to me, the best fertilizer is a farmer's shadow. You're on the ground. You see it, you feel it, you understand what you're going for. That's why what you're doing. That's why it's so important to have your word here today so that we can go back to Washington, D.C. and not just work together on the Ag Committee, on the Ways and Means Committee, but we can convince other members who don't have agriculture in their districts how important this farm bill is. Help them understand how important our agriculture is to the United States of America and to the world. And it's that ability to basically come together to work on research issues, which is important to me as the founder of the Ag Research Caucus, to work on trade issues, to work on crop insurance issues, to work on conservation issues, and yes, as the founder and co-chair of the FFA Caucus, it's important to have the young and beginning farm worker programs as well. That foundation allows us to get through our differences and reach a similarity when it comes to nutrition programs. And it should and it must provide us the foundation to ensure that we come up with proper immigration reform, especially to protect those who are willing to come here and do the work that no other Americans are willing to do, and that's work in our agriculture when it comes to our farm workers. And then, of course, to provide the infrastructure funding that's necessary for our farm workers, for our water resources, excuse me. Look, one of the proudest moments I can say that I had in Congress was actually coming together and passing the 2018 Farm Bill. One of the worst moments, though, was when that version of the Farm Bill in its first iteration was voted down out of the House of Representatives. So you need to realize that that can happen. That's why we need to come together in a bipartisan basis to make sure that Republicans and Democrats continue to listen to you, continue to learn from you, and that's why we're going to continue to work with you to get a 2023 Farm Bill. Thank you.
Jimmy, thanks so much. Now I'm pleased to recognize a gentleman, former Agriculture Commissioner in the state of Tennessee and a member of the U.S. House Agriculture Committee, Congressman John Rose.
Thank you, Chairman Thompson, and thanks to everyone here today. You know, farmers are working hard day in and day out to put food on the table, produce fiber for this country. One of my good farmers back in the rural part of Tennessee, I think, says it best. When you're well-fed, you have the luxury of having lots of problems. When you're hungry, you have one problem. And farmers in this room, I think, exemplify what it takes to feed this country. And so thank you for being here and sharing with us. Thanks to Chairman Thompson, thanks to Speaker McCarthy, and thanks to the World Ag Expo folks for hosting this event. But most of all, thank you to you for sharing with us. As a farmer myself, I appreciate the heartfelt stories that I've heard today, and I want you to know that we're going to take those back to Washington and try to fashion a farm bill that provides reliable, stable, predictable ag policy so that you can worry about attending to the business that you have. Thank you.
All right, John, thanks so much. Now, first of all, I want to say thank you to those of you who sent this guy to Congress. His enthusiasm for agriculture came out the first time we crossed paths, and I was thrilled to be able to see that he got on the Agriculture Committee. Congressman John Duarte
Thank you, GT, and it's an honor to be here with this entire panel, as we all are. One thing I'd like to keep in mind, we talk about two sides of the Farm Bill sometimes. There is only one side of the Farm Bill. Abundance is affordability. When we don't drill American oil, when we don't get water on the farms, we are crushing the working American family. The lowest income 20% of American families spends, and this is a 2018 number, 33% of their income on food. Now, today inflation's occurred. We think, well, maybe they're spending 40%. That would be impossible. There's housing, there's energy, there's transportation, there's clothing, there's everything else, there's health care. So they're still spending 33% of their income on food. We're just the first generation in America that can actually see American working families reverting back to a highly starched diet and away from the produce and protein and diverse nutrition that we've come to expect advances in for every generation up until now. And until we get our resources policies correct, until we value the freedom for farmers to farm and producers to produce, and domestic energy security and domestic food security, we should not lose for a second that what we are doing is putting a big plate of starch, potatoes, nothing wrong with any of them, but we're taking the balancing proteins, we're taking the balancing produce, and we're taking the nutrition that this valley is such a leader in producing off the plate of the lowest income American families there is. And no amount of food access through the SNAP program or anything else is going to cure the raw scarcity of our resource policies as they are directed today. We've got to start there. We've got to let farmers farm, producers produce for the sake of American working families. So thank you all for sitting through it. I'm honored to be up here to serve you, and I appreciate every bit of your input today.
John, thank you so much, and welcome to the Ag Committee. Well, I have to say, from my observation, and I've been a part of these, as some other members have in the past, this was a very successful listening session. The passion, the information, the insight, the homegrown solutions that were brought forward here, I can't tell you how tremendously valuable that is. I want to thank all of you who attended, especially those of you who endured to the end for over 2 hours here. And thank you to my colleagues who are all sitting here for your passion and your service to America's #1 industry, which is agriculture. It is the industry that every American family, and quite frankly, a lot of families around the world through our exports and our humanitarian aid, rely on and experience probably at least 3 times a day, and so much more that agriculture provides beyond what's on our plate. My goal, my commitment, is that we pass a 2023 Farm Bill on time in a bipartisan, bicameral way that is highly effective. And that's our vision. That's what we're working towards. American agriculture is best defined by 3 words: science, technology, and innovation. It is an industry that is not static, it's dynamic. It's moving forward, not backwards. Now, sometimes we have a few headwinds. We've heard about some of those today, with inflation and issues, a lack of availability, perhaps of some bad policy in terms that affects availability of crop protection tools, or threats like waters of the U.S., or perhaps discussions, any mentioning of ending stepped-up basis, which makes it more difficult to pass a farm on. But there's always headwinds, right? The weather. But the American farmer is resilient, and I would have to say that no one does it better than the American farmer. And I use that term kind of broadly: the farmer, rancher, foresters, producers, all the folks who provide us food and fiber, building materials, and energy resources. And that's what we're dedicated to. The American farmer are true heroes. Right? It's not just the nutrition that they provide us that we have access to, affordable, high quality, and safe food. It's the jobs. It's a huge part of our economy. especially our rural economy where we grow food and process it. And as I like to say, without a robust rural economy, people all across America, starting with those who live in big cities, are going to wake up in the cold, dark, and hungry. So it's about the economy, about nutrition, about the environment, about climate. And just the fact that American agriculture has increased in productivity 287% since the 1940s. There's no other place in the world that's done that. Now, we've slipped a little bit because you get headwinds with inflation. It impacts your productivity. But I'm working with a group of individuals here. Some are on the committee, but these are all Aggies. These are all ag supporters, whether they're on appropriations or other committees. And our commitment, my commitment, is we're going to put the right policies in place in this farm bill that we can take the productivity of American agriculture to 400% increase since by the year 2035. And we've got we have a great opportunity to be able to do that. These folks are also, because it's kind of the buzzword you hear a lot, our farmers, our ranchers, foresters, our farmers have basically been criminalized. A lot of them run around and feel like they have a bullseye on their back that says climate criminal. And that's just a complete lie. And it's completely opposite. The data, the facts are on our side. The statistics are on our side. When you look at land-based solutions, which is basically agriculture, and yes, it does include all the crops, the livestock, and trees. The data shows that American agriculture sequesters 6.1 gigatons of carbon annually. Now, I'll be truthful with you, Jim, I still don't know how big a gigaton is, but it sounds huge, right? But it's big. But you put in perspective the data and the research, you find that we sequester 10.1% more greenhouse gases than what we emit on those lands. Nobody does it better anywhere in the world. And the research, one of the findings of the research, which I find very exciting, and based on the mention of trade today and the importance of MAP and federal market, foreign market development, it was probably the number one thing that was named today. You'll love this statistic, this finding that says that if on this day, on February 14th, 2023, we wanted to reduce greenhouse gases around the world, the only surefire way to do that would be for American farmers, ranchers, and foresters to produce more and export it overseas. Because you all are the climate heroes of the world. But it's a story that we have to tell. And I know that this committee is dedicated to doing that. I want to encourage you to, I did want to mention something briefly about those who are asking for more resources for things like conservation programs. This committee's already delivered on that. It's the kinds of stuff we do, unfortunately, while it's probably incredibly important to the American people, it doesn't really get covered by the mainstream media. At the end of the year, we had a bill signed into law that came out of the Agriculture Committee called the Sustains Act. It was mentioned once, I think, by Ducks Unlimited, which I appreciate. And what that does is creates a public-private partnership where organizations, businesses, companies, individuals of all sizes can make a contribution to USDA, and they can get their climate credentials if they do that. They can put it on their letterhead, they can put it in their advertising that they're green, sustainable, climate friendly, whatever they want to do that to promote themselves marketing-wise. The most important part of that program is all those dollars go to fund more conservation programs for the American farmer. And so we accomplished that and a whole bunch of other things at the end of last year. I want to encourage you, as I frequently, as I said in the beginning, when it comes to public policy, if you're not at the table, you're probably on the menu. And so we all need you to be at the table, continue to be at the table. And with that, the close, I'm looking to get a T-shirt that quotes a great American, Michael Harris. It said, "Can we just grow some food?" So I appreciate that saying, brother. All right, thank you, everybody. And this 2023 Farm Bill listening session is adjourned. Oh, thank you. No, you. You bet, sir. No, peace through understanding. Yeah, I'm familiar with actually the International Farm Youth is a good program. Unfortunately, I forget who was supporting that, kind of bailed on it. No, this was an outside organization. Yeah, no,